All right, today we're diving into Jonathan Haidt's incredible book, The Happiness Hypothesis. And let me tell you, this is so much more than a self help book. It's basically a user's manual for your brain, mixing ancient wisdom with cutting edge science to tackle one huge question. Why is being happy sometimes so hard? And what can we really do about it? Let's get right into it. You know this feeling, right? It's that classic internal battle. One part of you makes a super logical plan, like, okay, tomorrow I'm definitely going to the gym. And then another part of you wakes up and decides that the couch is a way better idea. This isn't some flaw in your character. Turns out, this tug of war is just how our minds are wired. So, to really get a grip on this internal conflict, Haidt gives us this amazing metaphor that honestly might just change how you see yourself for good. Picture your mind as a writer sitting on top of a giant elephant. Just that one image, it explains pretty much every single struggle we have with self-control, with motivation, with making any real change in our lives. So let's break this down. The writer, that's your conscious, analytical brain. It's the part that makes plans, understands language, sets goals. But the elephant? Oh, the elephant is everything else. It's your gut feelings, your automatic reactions, your deepest cravings. It's ancient, it's immensely powerful, and frankly, it was running the show for millions of years before the writer even came along. And this is the core of it all. The rider can hold the reins and try to steer, but if that 6-ton elephant decides it wants to go a different way, well, guess who's going to win that argument? This is exactly why you can logically decide to wake up at 6 a.m., but when that alarm goes off, the elephant of comfort and warmth just slams the snooze button. Willpower alone doesn't work because you're trying to outmuscle an elephant. So if fighting the elephant is a losing game, what's the move? Well, the secret isn't to fight it, it's to train it. See, real lasting change doesn't come from brute force willpower. It comes from patiently, consistently teaching our emotional self, our elephant, new habits. The goal is to get to a place where the rider and the elephant actually want to go in the same direction. And Haidt points to 3 incredibly powerful science-backed methods for this training. First up, meditation. This is all about calming the elephant's anxieties and just turning down the volume on all that mental chaos. Second, cognitive therapy. You can think of this as teaching the elephant not to be so jumpy, to not be scared of every little shadow, by challenging and reframing those negative thoughts. And third, for some, medication can be a huge help in rebalancing the brain's chemistry, which makes the elephant way less reactive and a whole lot easier to guide. So the bottom line is this. Stop yelling at your elephant to change. It doesn't work. Instead, start training it with patience and with kindness. That right there is the beginning of true self-mastery. Okay, now that we have a better handle on our internal world, let's zoom out. Because our happiness isn't just an inside job, right? It is deeply, deeply connected to how we interact with the people around us. And it turns out, there are some fundamental social rules that are hardwired into our elephants. At the absolute core of human society is this thing called reciprocity. You know it. It's that automatic, powerful feeling that if someone helps you, you owe them one. A friend helps you move a couch, and you feel this deep need to help them back later. This simple instinct is what allowed us to build trust, to cooperate, and to create, well, everything. It's the invisible glue holding our world together. But here is a fascinating and kind of funny glitch in our social software. Check this out. When I'm late, I'm my own defense attorney, right? Oh, the traffic was insane. You wouldn't believe it. But when you're late, suddenly I'm the judge. Wow, so irresponsible. Just recognizing this built-in hypocrisy is a massive step towards being a little wiser and having much better relationships. Okay, so if happiness is the goal, is there, like, a recipe? Well, according to Haidt, there actually is. He boils it all down to this beautiful, simple, and incredibly practical formula. This little equation tells us exactly where our happiness comes from, and, maybe more importantly, which parts we can actually do something about. So let's unpack it. S is your genetic set point. Think of it like a happiness lottery you won at birth. There's not a whole lot you can do to change it. C stands for the conditions of your life. Things like your noisy commute, your income, your key relationships. You can change these, and it definitely makes a difference. But V, your voluntary activities, this is where your real power lies. These are the things you choose to do. Mastering a skill, volunteering, getting lost in a hobby that give you a sense of purpose and flow. And this brings us to a really surprising insight about happiness that Haidt calls the progress principle. It turns out our emotional elephant gets a much bigger kick of joy from making progress toward a goal than it does from actually crossing the finish line. That feeling of striving, of learning, of getting better, that's often the real prize, not the destination itself. So this leads us to a really deep and powerful idea. True happiness isn't about avoiding pain or struggle. In fact, some of our greatest growth and deepest sense of meaning comes directly from facing those tough times head on.
Now, we've all heard of post-traumatic stress, where a terrible event can leave us scarred and feeling smaller. But Haidt really shines a light on the other, more hopeful side of that coin, post-traumatic growth. This is the incredible human capacity to not just bounce back from adversity, but to actually use it as a springboard to become stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of life than ever before.
So how on earth does that happen? Well, think of adversity like a fire. It's intense, but it forges you. It forces you to dig deep and find strengths you never even knew you had. It shows you who your real friends are, making those bonds unbreakable. And it just burns away all the trivial stuff, leaving you with this crystal clear vision of what truly matters in your life. And all of this, our inner battle, our growth through pain, it all comes together in what might just be the most profound sentence in the entire book. Virtue resides in a well-trained elephant. So what does that really mean? It means that being a good person isn't about memorizing a list of rules. It's about training your elephant's instincts. It's about practicing kindness and practicing courage and practicing compassion until those things become your automatic, gut-level response. Virtue isn't an idea. It's an emotional skill. And finally, we get to the highest level of this whole journey. Once we've started to get a handle on our inner world and our relationships, we naturally start looking for a sense of purpose, something bigger than just ourselves. Have you ever watched a video of someone performing an incredible act of selfless kindness, and you just feel this warm, uplifting, expansive feeling in your chest? Maybe even get goosebumps? That's what Haidt calls elevation. It's a moral emotion that literally lifts us out of our own petty concerns and makes us want to be better. It connects us to the best parts of humanity. So when you put it all together, here it is. This is the blueprint Haidt gives us for a flourishing life. It's about training your inner elephant, improving your external conditions, choosing meaningful voluntary activities, building rock-solid connections, finding growth in your struggles, and seeking a sense of meaning beyond yourself. It's not about chasing fleeting moments of pleasure. It's about building a life that is truly, deeply, and meaningfully well-lived. And that brings us to the end. But the real question is, now what? What are you going to do with all this? Forget about some massive life overhaul. Think smaller. What is one tiny, practical thing you can do today to start training your elephant? Because that small step, that's where the journey to a happier, more meaningful life really begins.